What's up? Joe here from Franchise Accelerator, and today I'm going to dive into a video specifically on how we at Franchise Accelerator for our clients are helping them turn franchise leads, potential franchisees, into appointments. So most of our clients basically tell us that actually getting leads isn't the hardest part of the equation. So getting 100 leads to come in, give you their name and email isn't really the hardest part. The hardest part is turning that from just a name and an email to somebody who they filtered for qualification, so in terms of liquidity, in terms of background, in terms of experience, and actually getting them to book an initial conversation with the franchisor and then to turn up to that conversation. So there's a couple of drop-off points there. Getting the leads, fine. We solve that in our kind of service as well. But that's kind of a commodity. You know, you can generally get quite good at generating franchise leads without too much bother. The next drop-off point is how many of those are qualified. So that's usually determined in your copy and your targeting in terms of your ads. And then the next drop-off point is how many of those actually want to talk to you. So how many of them have you nurtured enough to want to talk to you? Then the next drop-off point is those who actually book in a conversation with you, how many of them turn up? So this is our kind of protocol that we implement using AI agents and automations to ensure that that happens. So let me walk through what we've got here. So lead to appointment. So here you've got a lead opts in. So in our case, this might be a Pinterest ad, it might be a Facebook ad, it might be a Google ad, and they're going to give some very basic information, usually name, number, email, maybe some basic qualification about like what location they're interested in, maybe something about financial qualification, but generally we're keeping it quite broad here. So in that situation, there's always going to be an option for that lead to immediately book themselves in a call. So they don't have to rely on somebody else reaching out to them to do that. If they do book a call, that's when they're going to be answering more detailed questions that might allow us to just cancel that call. So for example, if they say, you know, I'm 16 years old, I've got 1,000 in the bank, and I've never worked in auto detailing, we're not going to then, you know, hop on a call with them about auto detailing franchising. If they answer questions that we deem, whichever the client is, deem them to be qualified, then we're going to go ahead with the appointment. If they're not, we'll put them into a follow-up sequence. So basically there's an option whereby they book a call and they don't. Most people, even if they are qualified and even if they are interested, are not going to immediately book a call. So they're going to go down this route of not booking a call. But first of all, let's go down the route, like let's say the happy path. Somebody sees your ad, they click on it, they give you the name and email, they're forwarded over to your calendar, they book a call, they fill out their information, and they're qualified. They're somebody who has, the experience and the liquidity that you need. So even if they book a call, they're going to get a confirmation call within 5 minutes. So now we're in the game of how do we maximize show up rate, and how do we optimize that person's state of mind to prepare them to speak to us and be excited, know who we are, see us as an authority and as a good, solid brand to align themselves with. So they're going to get a confirmation call within 5 minutes. So let's say, continuing down the happy path, you have that call with them. This is basically confirming, hey, appreciate you booking in, super excited to speak to you. We're going to show you this, this, and this. So we're going to talk to you through this, this, and this. There might be a little bit more for qualification in that phrase. So there might be parts of the criteria that you haven't put into your booking link that you want to make sure of. This varies depending on the franchisor. And at the end of that call, you're going to then put them in a group chat. So this is how we've boosted show up rate unbelievably well. So when you put them in a WhatsApp group with, let's say, maybe the franchise owner or like some kind of admin number, and the person who they're going to be having that initial call with, and they're in that group, this is skyrocketed show up rates because it ties you in. It's not just a stranger. It's kind of a little group that you're part of, and it's almost like organizing plans with friends, and not showing up would be really weird. So let's say now they don't answer that confirmation call. So we've called them within 5 minutes. This can be 10, this can be 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes, but we can configure that. If there's no call, if there's no response, then we're going to call back again after 10 minutes, and then we're going to call off after an hour, and then we're going to call every 24 hours until they pick up, just to confirm that they've booked a call, and basically tie them down to that commitment. So this is all optimizing for show up rate. Then there's going to be a sequence before the call where we're sending them your best basically your best quality asset. So obviously there's going to be something like a franchise brochure in most cases, but we also advocate a lot for kind of a video walkthrough from the founder or from a significant figure within the organization that's going to walk them through what it is that they're going to go through on the call. Maybe a little bit of a background on the kind of story of the brand. Some kind of pre-call assets. Most of these usually exist within franchisors before we go in, but if not, we can kind of share some examples, share some templates that'll help you make these. Kind of just like imagine a 5 to 6 slide presentation, just going through, hey, really good decision to book a call. You know, we're growing at this rate, this amazing number we hit last month, that kind of thing. So WhatsApp group created, intro and assets are shared in that WhatsApp group. This initial call, by the way, in our case is being done by AI agents. If you haven't seen the demonstration of our AI agents, that'll be on this channel somewhere. Look for that video. It's called Live Demo AI Agent. Then they're going to get a reminder call. So there's going to be a sequence, kind of an email sequence that's going to be 24 hours before the call. Hey, reminder your call's in 24 hours. There's going to be a 3-hour reminder your call's in 3 hours, a 1 hour, and then usually like a 15-minute text. And the reason that we're doing that is more to give them a prompt if they need to cancel, so that we're not kind of taking up diary space or waiting for people on calls. But also, you know, they might also genuinely forget as well. So that's going to lead no-showing, which we'll go through in a second. But let's go back to the top of the tree. What happens if they don't book a call? So if they don't book a call, they're treated pretty much the same. They're getting a call within 5 minutes. At the end of that, ideal within that call is like, hey, what's up? Notice you gave us your information, but didn't yet book a call. Same conversation. Triage, are they qualified? Is it worth them is it worth us speaking to them? If so, book them onto a call. If it's not the right time, put them into an email nurturing sequence or a community or whatever. And then assuming that they answer and they're happy to book. If they're not, then we're going to put them into a 11 to 14 day sequence that is not your kind of generic email marketing, which is going to be a separate thing, but it's a specific like lead, like a new lead comes in. When a lead is new, you have the highest response rates in terms of SMS open, email open, because they've literally just told you, I'm interested in hearing from you. So we're doing kind of a short, intense period of trying to get in contact with them, try and find out what it is that would make them book, whether they're qualified, where they're at in their kind of buying journey. And here we can configure this in different ways. What we found well, until they pick up once, calling them twice a day, trying different times of day. So we might have an automation that's set up for 9 a.m. And 3 p.m. Then if those don't work, then we try 10 and 2. Then we try evening and morning, like anything within kind of like a sociable hours. And then ideally, at the end of that 11 days, the lead has booked an appointment. If they haven't, they're going to go into a generic kind of long-term email list. That's kind of just, maybe it's just not the right time for them and they don't want to speak now, but keep in top of mind. You're going to send the free call assets, as we've spoken about, WhatsApp group setter, reminder call, all the same. Then we've got lead no-show. So if after all of this, most of our clients say, wow, compared to what we're doing, if this doesn't increase show-up rate, then I don't know how it couldn't. And it really does. In most cases, we're looking at double the show-up rate. So if they don't show, we're going to call them 5 minutes into the call. So this is actually going to be the person who would be taking the call. So this is no longer AI at this point, just because the time's booked out anyway. Call them 5 minutes into the call. Call them 10 minutes into the call. If they didn't respond, then we're putting them in an 11-day sequence, the exact same 11-day sequence that if they gave us their information and didn't call. The good thing about a no-show sequence is when they have booked a call, we have more information about them. So we might be able to, for example, add a LinkedIn profile. We might be able to add a website or some kind of web page about them, which gives us a bit more ability to personalize the follow-up. So, for example, if you give our AI agent a website or a LinkedIn profile, it can pick out things from there, analyze it. It can even send a screenshot by SMS of this and say, hey, was just checking out your LinkedIn. Looks like you'd be really qualified based on your experience in XYZ, and say, really interested to talk, et cetera, et cetera. We can add all of that in. So this is basically our flow. We've got automation set up for all of these, which we've got detailed here. So these I've shown also in another video, which I'd probably need to reshoot because of the audio quality, hence the microphone here. But all of these are set up as automations. Pretty much in this process, your human input here is absolutely zero. Other than the call, the human input is zero. And this can happen, let's say if you're setting up a system, as ours kind of tend to do, where you're getting 15 to 20 leads per day, to have this happen on autopilot and never drop the ball is a complete game changer and basically replaces what would essentially be a call center. So then the next question is like, how do you keep an eye on this process and how it's performing? So what we do is we track leads in two places. So in your CRM, we're going to have a kind of, what would you call, I don't even know what these charts are called. It looks like a Trello or a Jira, basically, where you've got new leads, archived leads, who's in follow-up, who's unqualified, who's triaged but not interested, and who's booked. So in any day, you can pull up this dashboard and you can have a look at, okay, refresh from yesterday, what have we got new leads, what have we got in follow-up? You can look into those, click into those profiles, see what information we have about them, who's booked, and all of this stuff. We can also, this is directly connected to as many calendars as you want, if you want to split that between different people on the sales team or different people on a kind of founding group or whatever. And then we're also going to import that into a Google Sheets document. And the reason this looks a little bit duplicated, the reason we do this is because Google Sheets integrates with pretty much any CRM that you could want. And so it gives you that flexibility. So as a business owner, you'll know like migrating is super annoying. Like getting your data in and out of different CRMs and things like that, and just like tying them together and getting to talk to each other is a nightmare. They're designed against it. So we make sure that automatically your leads are also going into a Google Sheet as well. And all of this is set up with automations, KPIs, and things like this. Same thing with sales calls. So when a sales call is booked, it's going to be put in booked appointment. We're going to have a sales CRM sheet as a tab on that Google Sheet. And then again, every sale is going to be a closed deal. It's going to be put into your process. And also we're going to have a sales metric spreadsheet, which I can go through in a different video, but we've got a sales metric kind of dashboard on Google Sheets, which will allow you to see what your close percentage is, what your show percentage is, all of those kinds of things. So what you've got there is fully automated system, very little human input, very high efficiency, and extreme transparency. So you're going to know what's your cost per lead, what's your cost per booked call, what's your cost per showed up booked call, what's your cost per, you could even say cost per pitch. So on that call, how many of them are like qualified booked call, for example, and do you actually pitch them your franchise? And then you could say cost per acquisition as well. You could also say close rate. All of these numbers are going to be very easily visible. Cool. So that's basically going through our process for appointment setting, making sure people show up. If you're interested in getting this implemented, just comment the word franchise. I'll reach out to you and we can talk about what this would look like in your specific organization. You're welcome, and follow for more.